My being here and being able to talk with you and your viewers, it's a miracle of God.
Hello everybody. Today I'm going from Thailand back to Hong Kong, Alliance International Church. Please come with me. Before we start, please remember to subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming exciting interviews. Thank you. We are honored to have the lead pastor of Alliance International Church. Let's welcome Paster Henry Mui together. Hello, good morning, Pastor Henry. How are you?
I'm good, Sydney. It's so great to be able to connect with you and your viewers today.
Thank you for coming to our show. We know that you are the lead pastor at Alliance International Church. But I understand you don't have a typical pastoral profile. Would you like to share with us about your amazing journey?
That I don't have the typical pastoral profile. And what I mean is that I've done the expected certification requirements. So I've gone to seminary, got my MDiv, I've been ordained. I even went through training for chaplaincy at a level 1 trauma center in the United States. But I started my post-university career in technology in the banking world in New York City. And so that first year or so, I bounced around in a few business units during my rotations. And when I've landed in the group that I worked with, everything was gearing up towards Y2K. That was my early career. And then I felt God's invitation into vocational pastoral ministry. So I moved up to Boston for seminary. And from there, I was called to my first church in California. And that doesn't sound too unusual. But then I moved to Hong Kong. and so I think there is something in the water here. There's something to this entrepreneurial bug that so many people seem to have once they come to Hong Kong. Because back in the US, I never thought of myself in this sort of mindset. But since moving to Hong Kong, I've been involved in launching a F&B business, an NGO that focused on leadership and personal development, as well as involved in church planting. And all of that, I feel it just uniquely equipped me for the ministry that we're doing now at Alliance International Church, to be nimble and entrepreneurial, to wear many hats, and to be willing to think outside the box and be creative and still be accessible. All of that to me is essential for ministry here because it boils down to authentic relationships. My ministry background, my pastoral profile is sort of like jumping back and forth between the marketplace as well as in church ministry. And I think this is, in a way, pastoral ministry in the future is going to look like. You really need to be able to understand these worlds and integrate that, especially to help Christians to be able to live out their faith. And so it's just not only in the church and just not only in the workplace, but to be able to integrate those things together.
Make it relevant for people of all walks of life.
Yes, yes. Actually, the main reason that I got involved in the F&B business when I came to Hong Kong was I'd realized that anytime I teach or preach on faith in the workplace, I was talking about life in my experiences in New York City pre-Y2K. And it was already at that point about 15 years since then. I thought, hey, I have an opportunity. It'll give me a chance to experience and understand the pressures and the stress that people in Hong Kong experience in the workplace. And how do you live out your faith values there? And so I jumped on that chance.
I see. What brought you to Jesus in the first place?
I think the big theological answer would be God's grace. And let me unpack that for a little bit. I'm actually the third generation Christian. Even more specifically, I'm a third generation pastor. Not directly. My grandfather was the first Christian in our family and became a pastor, and my oldest uncle became a pastor. So there's a pastor in each generation. When I say God's grace, what I mean is that my being here and being able to talk with you and your viewers, it's a miracle of God. Because my mother was born with a heart defect that was never discovered. Nowadays, when this particular heart condition is discovered, there's a procedure and they just do it right at birth. It's surgery and it's done and it's very routine when it's caught. Back when she was born here in Hong Kong, it was never discovered. And usually what happens is the baby doesn't live past, I think, a few years. And if they do, they will have poor health their entire life. And so by my mom, this was never discovered. None of the medical staff figured this out. And all through her life, she lived a normal life without experiencing this sort of thing. And when we found out about it, this was when she was 60 years old, because she was going to go in for some other unrelated surgery. And then in one of the scans or one of the x-rays, the doctors saw this and realized what was going on. Well, this is where we saw this is God's grace in action, because we didn't even know we needed God's grace and protection, but this had already happened. Because if my mom knew her health condition, she probably would never have gotten married, much less had bring to term full pregnancy for 2 boys and lived all of this experience. So when I say God's grace brought me to Jesus, I mean, I don't think I would be here. I don't think my children would be here were not because of God's grace. And so that was way back when. Now, me personally, what brought me to Jesus really was God's love, his pursuit of me. I talked about his grace when we aren't aware of it, but even there are moments and experiences in my life where I was very much aware that whether it was because of a sense of worth and value and confidence in self, or just feeling like as a small boy in an immigrant experience, needing and knowing God's love. Those things, I think, really opened the doors for me to receive God's love, connecting with the church I grew up in, and seeing how God was active in my mom's life, my extended family's life. And so that was, I think, instrumental also in leading me in answering God's invitation, his call to ministry.
How would you like to invite the other people to experience God's love and grace?
As I had mentioned before, one of the entrepreneurial experiences I had was with an NGO. And from there, we really dove into intelligence. And so we all have different types of intelligence, right? There's the book smarts, the IQ that your viewers are probably most aware of. There's also EQ, right? Emotional intelligence, and that's been getting a lot of attention. But there's other things. There's like kinesthetic intelligence. That's body intelligence for athletes, dancers, and there's also music, mathematical, spatial, linguistics intelligence. There's just so many ways that we are wonderfully designed to perceive and understand the world. Well, I believe there's yet another one, and that is spiritual intelligence. Very simply put, is about our need and capacity to not think just about ourselves. It's really about maturing as a person. And so to answer your question about how would I invite someone, come and see it, it's very simple. I know that not everyone at every time is ready or able to develop spiritual. Many people choose to ignore or hide or shut down this side of themselves. And it's not until a crisis or some kind of situation that's just, wow, so great that they're forced to deal with it, then they have to, right? Well, that's not always the best or effective, and it's probably more painful than necessary for growth to occur. So my invite is why not take a more proactive approach? Come and see. It's really not about taking my word for it. It's about opening yourself to who God is. So come and see what God's love is all about. Jesus has some incredible teaching on how to live, wisdom for many topics. But his ultimate mission, his purpose, was to reconcile us back to God, to help us to understand our purpose and how that is connected to our passions. Our spiritual side, it's a deep need. We all have this capacity. Blaise Pascal, the French mathematician and philosopher, he's attributed to talking about this God-shaped void in a man's heart. So Pascal here, he's saying that there's this void, this emptiness, and it can only be filled by God, made known through Jesus Christ. So dear viewers, if you are ready and willing, the invitation is to come and see.
This sounds great, and I understand AIC has something special for this Father's Day.
This Father's Day, I'm leading a group of dads, and we're doing our second annual Dad and Me weekend. Basically, an opportunity for the fathers to invest in our relationship with our children.
Thank you, Pastor, for your reminder and invitation.
To come to AIC, we'd love to have you.
Yes, AIC is located in Lai Chi Kok. We will put the link over there as well.
Overseas viewers can join us online.
It's up to you again. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you for watching. See you next time. Please remember to subscribe so you won't miss any upcoming interviews. God bless you.